Hi, this is Jenni Kirby. I am with Jan and Linda, their show, Alleys of Richmond, Shifting Perspectives. We're going to do a little gallery talk with them. They're going to tell us their thought process and how they came up with the show, the title of the show, and the inspiration behind the show. So, Jan, would you like to start with that?
Sure. This started from me. I've always been interested in alleys. I lived in the Fan. I used to hang out, cut through to the bar and all that. But this specifically started because I worked at the ICA 2 years ago, and we got to park in employee parking, and the only way out of employee parking that didn't involve making illegal left turns was to go down the alley. And so I would go down the alley, and I came out on Henry Street. I saw this incredibly beautiful old brick wall that was covered with layers of signs, and it had just built, and they were all black and white, and so it almost had this checkerboard effect. It was incredibly beautiful, and I stopped and stared at it for several minutes because I was so blown away. So I just kept going. Rather than turning right and heading home, I went on down this alley, and there were, every few feet, there were more spots of beauty. And it was a lot of graffiti, but one of them was just the look of a snow fence, of a blue snow fence.
They can be very beautiful. I mean, it's amazing because I walk the Fan a lot, and the alleyways are much more intriguing than the sidewalks.
Yeah,
That's for sure. For sure.
It was just shocking, and so not long after that, I was talking with Linda and mentioned how I had seen all these images and I was so fascinated with them, and wouldn't that be a great body of work? And she said, well, I've always been interested in alleys too, and so it just kind of came from there.
Right. And my interest started, well, as a child, I had lived in the Fan in two houses very close to each other, and the alleys were the way that my friends and I got to each other's homes. And so in later years, I was struck by how many people were fearful of alleys. But anyway, so in 2000, I decided to revisit my past, and the first thing I did was go on an alley walk on the two alleys that I had grown up with. And some things had changed, and some things were the same, which was wonderful and bittersweet at the same time. In my plans, I was going to do a whole series on these alleys, these two alleys, and the views I had as a child, even from the backyards, which I could still see if I got binoculars, but I never did. And then in talking with Jan a couple of years ago, well, year and a half ago, the conversation came around, and here we are.
It's wonderful. I mean, it ties past, it ties present, and all of that together. So I know this L-shaped walls and the art that's on them, they're all sort of tied together. So, and I think you were telling me that this one in the middle that Linda had done was sort of the start of this.
Well, again, it was one of those things where we saw the same image separately and realized that we both loved it.
Right, and we've gone on two alley walks together, but the whole show is not conceived to be her interpretation and my interpretation of any one particular spot, but just whatever we gleaned from those walks together. So we were very taken with this alleyway that is behind Plaza Art, so we kind of refer to it as the Plaza Alley, but we also refer to it as I refer to it as a three-door alley because of the three doors. And there are many other doors, of course, but these three on that brick wall just sort of define the space.
Well, and they are beautiful in the two of themselves, and they're so different. I mean, you have like, okay, this is the modern, this is how we're going to do it. We're just going to put a new door on it. And then the next one is a little bit more rustic and creative. And then the other one, I'm assuming that's metal.
Yeah, it's wrought iron.
Yeah, wrought iron.
And I tried to do them to scale, and the ground level is the same, so you can see how the ground level changes between a step up and actually right on the level of the alley. And in that one, you'd almost have to get a step stool. I would have to get a step stool to step into. I'm wondering if that was ever even designed to be used. And then the wall also stair steps downward. And so you can actually see that suggested in the lines above it.
And then Jan, your interpretation is over here.
Yes, well, one of the reasons our show is called Shifting Perspectives is that Linda tends to take the long view, and she sees vistas and vignettes, and I see detail and pattern. So these two pieces are studies for that wall. The different kinds of brick and the different patterns of brick, the way they're laid out against the cobblestones, and then the tree that was hanging over. This is more of an exploration of the brick and the different colors. Bricks are very different.
Yeah.
Brown bricks and red bricks and old and new, and some are more pink and some are more orange, and so that piece is exploring all of that.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing I found to express, was because you had bright orange brick and almost black brick, and then you had plaster that had been put over parts of it, and the mortar, new mortar, old mortar. Yeah.
And this is not the end of this series.
No.
We,
Oh, good.
we
There's
have
more
a
to
lot.
come.
Absolutely.
We say we'd like to have a show that's just about this scene.
Right.
Very
so
fun.
with all of our sketches and photographs, and neither of us have made a major work.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then the two we did on the end with the of the dumpster, I think kind of defines, but besides this, is that we both took the dumpster, and then she had done one thing with it and I did something entirely different with it.
I think that'll be the next thing that we
Because
talk
that was
about
all
then.
done in gouache, which was the other thing. I had never worked with gouache before.
I think that'll be the next thing that we talk about then. Okay, so we're going to talk about the two pieces that are a part of the Shifting Perspectives show. And this actually happens to be in a place that many artists will know and recognize. So Jan, go ahead and take away and tell us where it is.
This is, again, behind Plaza Art. It's actually behind the Chinese restaurant on Gray Street. And it's directly opposite from our scene, The Three Doorways. This is a dumpster that we found separately and fell in love with, and interpreted mine in cloth and hers in gouache.
Mm-hmm. And we both ended up titling it almost the same, using the graffiti, Zer, Z-E-R, and both of us capitalized it because that's the way it's done in the image. So,
Well, and I think it's really cool that you found them separately. That this just happened to be one of the ones that you cued in on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, very interesting. Thank you. I want to thank both of you all for bringing us this presentation, this exhibition. If you haven't seen it, please stop by Crossroads Art Center and take a look at it. It's in Gallery 2, which is in Building 2, and I think you will just find these little treasures absolutely perfect. So thank you both.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.